If we all let this continue, Baylor is going to be left behind.
You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Bears fans. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Baylor, brought to you by Game Time. I'm your host, Cam Stuart of ESPN Central Texas and the Wicked Boston Show on YouTube. Appreciate you guys making it your first listen today and every day. Happy October 21st to all those who celebrate that. It's probably about the only time I'll say happy the rest of this program, because today we're talking about whether Baylor could be left behind at the next conference realignment if we just let things continue on like it is with this athletics program. Plus, we will talk about the weird relationship between Baylor football specifically, but Baylor athletics and Baylor the school. Is having a better school worse for your athletic department? I'll clarify that. And Dave Aranda is saying it is 4th and 1 for the rest of the season. Does that give you hope that this Baylor team will have its backs against the wall for the next 5 games? All that and more coming up on this episode of Locked On Baylor. Obviously, the fan base is still reeling. Everything is still swirling. Most people are very angry about what happened in Fort Worth on Saturday and what has been happening with this football program for half a decade now. And I keep using the term, I will continue to use the term, it feels like Baylor is just spinning wheels just every year and like, oh yeah, this thing is just good enough. You've got a 500 coach who has led this team from a Big 12 Sugar Bowl winner all the way down to a 3-9 and just about everything in between. There's complete fan apathy, okay? The stadium's half empty whenever we play. And it all comes down to, for the fan base anyway, the coach and not winning football games. And I've said this plenty of times before this season, you should always be supporting this team and their players. But when they don't win consistently, the whole program, it does start to run sour for your fan base. And right now it feels really bad, right? Like, we haven't had a legit contending team in 4 or 5 years now. Even when we get glimpses of good things, it turns to bad fairly quickly. Like, this is a prime example. This is a very talented team that really doesn't have a signature win yet. The way SMU's going this year, they're fine. SMU's an okay team, but they're basically in the same boat as you are. And so for the short term, it sucks. And it feels like the world is crashing around you. But really what we should be worried about is the fact that in a couple of years here, there's going to be more conference realignment. And if Baylor does not address what is wrong with the football program and make sure they are better than mediocre year in, year out, and make sure that the expectations should be better than being mediocre, then it's going to be a lot worse than having a coach you don't like. It's going to be a lot worse than having a half-empty stadium. It's going to be a lot worse than losing to your rivals every year. The reality is, if it keeps being mediocre, they're not going to be playing major college football at all. They're not going to be playing power conference college football at the turn of the next decade. And it's a long way off, and a lot of things need to happen. But in terms of the way Baylor is trending right now, it is not out of the picture. It is not out of the question. Baylor is not too big for that. There's this divide of Baylor fans, of the ones who think you can't expect any more than being mediocre because of how bad they used to be. And then there are some that say, like me, no, we've seen how good it can be. You can absolutely expect more than mediocrity. But I think both of us should be in the same boat in that if you don't get better than mediocrity over the next couple of years, you are not too big to drop out of the Power Four. Because as most of us know, Baylor probably should have dropped out of the Power Four, the power conferences, however many there were back then, when the Big 12 was formed. And if we continue to go on this path, this is not going to be an attractive program, athletics department, for other conferences to want. Men's basketball, still in good shape. Not national championship shape like we thought we were going to be for this decade, but still in good shape with a Hall of Fame coach. Women's basketball going in the wrong direction. Football going in the wrong direction. Baseball still trying to pick itself up by the bootstraps. And honestly, no other sports matter. And there's really, when it comes down to it, only football matters. And Baylor's going in the wrong direction. So, yeah, it's great that you're a more selective school than you were 10 years ago, which we'll talk about in the next segment. And it's great that you've got nice facilities and that you're in a huge population state and in a good recruiting base. But right now, Baylor is not attractive to any kind of conference realignment, any kind of conference merger. They're not attractive. They're not in a major market. They're not consistent winners, and they don't have fans that show up to the games. And that's what I mean by saying there's going to be a college football rapture here in the next couple of years, and Baylor is going to be left behind if something does not change here. Because I would ask, what makes this football program attractive to another conference? I'll wait because I'm not finding anything right now. Yeah, you've got a good recruiting base, but so do 6 or 7 other schools in Texas or California or Florida. You're not special in that regard. And when you look at the schools that are comparable to us in the Power 4 conferences, like SMU just got back after 30 years. They just got back to a major conference. It took TCU 20 years to get back. It took Houston 25 years to get back. What makes Baylor so special that they're above those programs? The only thing we could have pointed to was recent success within the last 15 years, and that is still true. But again, I would say TCU's had some pretty good success as well. Or I look at some of the other schools that were left behind. Washington State, from 2015 to 2018, their win total went like this: 9, 8, 9, and 11. And they were still left behind. Nobody wanted them. And they've got good fan support, but nobody wanted them. It was a podunk little football program in the middle of nowhere in this conference that was falling apart. The Big 12 could be that conference in a couple of years, probably more likely the ACC, but it could be the Big 12, and that's how they will look at Baylor. Shoot, man, let's use one of the teams that we're really familiar with. Let's go back to Houston. The Big 12 came together after the 1995 season, and shortly before that, which what we're talking about now, Baylor 5 or 6 years before whatever this conference realignment is going to be, was a good team. From 1988 to 1990, Houston, 9 wins, 10 wins, and a Heisman Trophy. And that didn't get them an invite to the Big 12. That wasn't good enough. It wasn't sexy enough. Or they didn't have the right people in power like Baylor did. That's what we're talking about here. We're not above this. And when the ACC blows up, how many of you want to go get Syracuse? How many of you are sitting there foaming at the mouth thinking, I need Syracuse football? That's what my conference needs. That's what's going to elevate my conference. Who's thinking that? No one? Any takers? Because I've got bad news for you. If we look at the last 8 seasons of Syracuse football, they have just as many 10-win seasons as you do, and they have just as many top 20 finishes at the end of the year than you do, as you do. We look at this just from a wins and loss standpoint here and final rankings, you are no different from Syracuse the last 8 seasons. No different. And nobody wants Syracuse. Why would anybody want Syracuse? That's what we're going to have to wonder about ourselves if we let this continue. But see, that brings me back to the ultimate point of this, which is what continues to piss me off, is that Baylor can and should be better than this. I talked about it a bunch. I will continue to talk about it for as long as it is a topic, because I see more and more Baylor fans every day, or different fans every day. And there was another one on Twitter yesterday of we shouldn't expect more than this. I just think that's BS. I think you can expect to be better than a 500 team for a decade or so. Like, I think you can expect to be better than that. I don't care. I don't care what Baylor's record was in 1998. I don't care. You should be able to be better than this year in, year out in the 2020s. Oh, well, there's no NIL. There's no resources. Like, do you think TCU is just rolling in money? Do you think TCU has like a Tennessee collective going? Because again, they had a down year last year and they won 8 games. We had an up year last year and won 8 games. Like, it's just, it's crazy. The team that just beats our butt every time, right up the road, our biggest rival, these Baylor fans who say we can't be better than what we are right now, still watch that team every year and say, oh man, what a great thing they're doing. Wish Baylor could do that. Like 10 years ago, we were doing that. And then some. We were better. We were the best programs in the country 10 years ago. Oh, that's too bad. Can't do that ever again. That's what I hate. It's like, why can't we do that again? Why can't we do that again? Like when Baylor hired Art Briles, they were nothing. They hadn't been to a bowl game in 15 years. And to be fair, Art Briles wasn't a huge name himself. He had some success at Houston. He was obviously a legend as a high school football coach. And then he came in here and made us one of the best football programs in the country. Why can't that happen again? Oh, the collectives. We don't have the money. That is crap. And Baylor will tell you that's crap. They do have the money. Is it Tennessee? Is it Florida? No, but they've got money. That's not the problem. As evidenced by the fact that they are getting good players to sign on at this point. It took too long. It took too long to happen, but it is happening. And so if we continue with this, with 500 records and fans that do not want to come to the games, half-empty stadiums on ESPN Plus broadcasts, then we are going to get left behind. And none of us want to see that because Baylor is better than that. We just need to show it. But right now, we're not. And that's what stinks. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Could Baylor be in danger of being left behind at the next conference realignment? Let me know. And is the reason why Baylor's starting to struggle in football because they're a much better school? Let's go over that next on Locked On Baylor. But first, today's episode is brought to you by Monarch. Let's be honest, most of us can't name our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. The 401ks, the savings, the investments, it's easy to lose track. And that can mean leaving buyout money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on that same laptop or phone you're watching or listening to this show right now. Monarch's visual dashboards and smart tools make it so much easier to understand where my money's going and how to make it work harder for me. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for half off your first year. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet. Put down $5, and if it hits, you're going to unlock $300 of bonus bets to use across the app. It makes watching football even more exciting, and that's what we need, a little bit more excitement. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Once again, FanDuel.com, download that FanDuel app, FanDuel.com, get started. Back here on Locked On Baylor, solemn day on Locked On Baylor as we continue to talk about the things that are going wrong with this football program. And I couldn't really bite my tongue any longer. I just wanted to put my opinions out on this, but now the question has arose. Is Baylor worse at football because they're better at school? Okay, because I had a bunch of people tweeting at me at Locked On Baylor, which I called for. What's going wrong in your mind right now? And someone had suggested Bill Gates, who is now dating a Baylor alum in Paula Hurd, should be donating more money for NIL. And I get that. I'm here. I'm on board for that. Don't care. I'll take it. I will take it. But then I'm going to put up the tweet now if you're watching on YouTube, just to be more clear about it. But that Bill Gates should donate to the engineering school so that Baylor will have better performing alums who are able to give back. And this kind of awoke something in me, not in like a bad way, but it is something that I do want to talk about very much. And I said it like this. I said it in the tweet. Whispers. Baylor becoming an elite research school the last few years has hurt athletics more than it has helped it. And it would take decades to see the alums cutting huge checks for the football program. And a lot of people took that as Cam is mad that Baylor is a better school than it used to be, academics-wise, and that it's hurting the athletic program. And I get that. I understand that that's why you take that from that tweet. But that is not the case. I do think it's hurting athletics more than it's helping it, but these two things are on different train tracks, and they should be. Okay, my point here is this. I love that Baylor's a better school. I'm doing this show, and you're watching and listening to the show because you either went to Baylor or you love Baylor. And so I love that Baylor's a better school. In fact, it's a much better school from when I started. Well, not much better, but better school from when I started 10 years ago. And I wouldn't be able to get in today. I believe that. I've seen it behind the scenes. What Baylor has done in the last 20 years to elevate itself academically is truly remarkable. And by the way, football has played a humongous part in that. Humongous part. But the work that Dr. Livingstone and the administration has done to make this a better, more selective school should not go unnoticed. Okay? It's as selective as it's ever been. But see, the problem is, while it's a better school and can attract a more diverse student body from people all over the world, that does not help its fan culture. That's my point that I'm making. Becomes R1 in 2021, that opens up so many new doors for different students coming in and what you're looking for. And so it means we're getting more international students. We're getting more students from California or Boston, where I come from, or New York or Chicago, or all across this great continent, or all across the world. Before that, when I first started, it was almost 70% Texas. And you had kids who grew up rooting for Baylor. Not all of them, for sure, but a lot of Baylor legacies on this campus. And it became something that was passed down generation to generation. And so you know what those kids are first and foremost before they are Baylor students? They are Baylor fans. And it becomes this big thing when you get to campus. When I got here, it helped that the football team was very good, but there was no question as to where you would be on a Saturday in the fall. You were either at McLean Stadium or you were somewhere watching the game. You didn't miss sporting events. It was a part of the culture here. And now all I hear about every week from current students is them saying their friends, they just had something better to do, or it was too hot, or, we wanted to hit the bars early and we left this 11 a.m. game. It's not the same fan culture it was 10 years ago. And Baylor couldn't really afford to lose anything in terms of their fan culture. And so what I'm saying here is you have a lot of kids who are not coming to Baylor for the community. They're not coming here for the family atmosphere. They're not coming here to cheer on the Bears. They're coming here because it's a great school. And that's not a bad thing. We want Baylor to be a good school, and it's as good as it's ever been. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of wearing my Baylor stuff around. But what I'm saying is, it does take away from how your students view athletics in the prism of their college experience. Like when kids go to Princeton, okay, and they take the tour guides are not selling them on how great Princeton was at lacrosse. Okay? They're not. They're not at Harvard. They're not talking about the Frozen Four they went to in hockey a couple years ago. And Baylor's probably fitting right in there. They're not saying come here because of our great traditions, because of the Baylor line, because of how awesome it is to be at this game day experience in a Power 4 school. And you don't even have to pay for tickets, which is very rare. No, they're probably saying we're great in this program. We're great in this program. And oh, look at all our alumni from this program. And that is okay. I'm here to tell you that's okay. It's just going to take away from that Baylor fan culture a little bit. It is. And, people saying, oh, well, Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech are good. Yes. Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech have been elite academic institutions for a century now. Some of these state schools, same thing. And that's a different argument because they got more resources than Baylor, right? But Michigan, North Carolina, UCLA, Virginia, these are really good schools, and they have been for a long time. What Baylor's had is a complete shift in their culture in the last 20 years because it's become a much better school. And the only example I can think of from my life that I could speak to is from my home state. UMass was always fine, but in the last 20 years, it's become a very, very good state school. Very good. And along with that, they have tried to become a legit D1 athletics program. And they suck at everything. They suck at literally everything except hockey. Everything. And football is lucky to get a couple of dozen people in the stands because they're FBS. They have no business being that. And nobody that's coming to that school is thinking I'm coming to a football school. And that's what I'm worried is happening at Baylor. They're coming to a school because it's got a good community. It's got great academics and a beautiful campus. Again, those are not bad things. But then when they come here, they're not expecting to come to a football school, which is what you used to have as an expectation, even when they sucked. And I'm sure many of you who went to Baylor during the suck years can attest to that. So that's what I meant by the tweet. Not that we should be ashamed that Baylor's getting better academically. Not that Baylor shouldn't get better academically. Not that. I'm saying it is hurting it more than it is helping it. At the end of the day, Baylor is a school. Okay? It is. And the football program is a hell of a tool to get on the front porch of a lot of these students. But you pay for school. So, yeah, I am very happy that Baylor's a lot better. I'm happy that I wouldn't be able to get in now. You don't need more of me in there. But by not having more of me in there, who's willing to do a Baylor podcast every day, then, yeah, your fan base is going to suffer a little bit. And to some, that is okay. To me, I think you can have both. We just need to work at it. We just need to work at it. I'm saying when you have a great academic school like this, and kids are coming here for those reasons, they're okay with being 6-6. That's just a nice little add-on to it. It's like being able to use dining dollars at one of the other restaurants. Oh, that's nice. I'm not coming here for that, but that is nice. Versus when it is a big part of your life, when you come here and athletics are a big part of it and you're a fan, then it does become more important. But right now, I just don't think it is with Baylor and this administration. So that's all I'm trying to say about it. You can absolutely be both. We just need Baylor to get back to being both. Does that make sense? Let me know in the comment section below. We got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about why Dave Aranda is calling this 4th and 1 for the rest of the season. That's coming up next on Locked On Baylor. But first, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time, the only place I go to buy tickets, and that's a fact. College football, very much here. We still couldn't be more excited about that. These diehards that listen, the tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. And we got battles here, okay? But the endless queues, the hidden fees, the prices jumping at checkout, man, that's not worth it. That's why I use Game Time, because you don't get any of that crap. It's the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. The app makes it super simple, man. You can see the view from your seats before you ever hit purchase. And those of you who have been caught in a bad seat know how important that is. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. Back here on Locked On Baylor, wish it was going to be a little bit more positive, but the Bears are over 500. They're sitting there at 4-3. Not a great performance right out of the bye week, but still 5 games left in the schedule. 4 of them are against top 30 defenses. And so all of a sudden, the team that was 4-2 going into the bye, 1 game later is thinking, ooh, we're going to be a bowl team? I'm thinking that. We're going to be a bowl team? 7 weeks into the season, I can't really tell if they're going to win any of these games or if they're going to lose all of them or if they're going to win all of them. I don't really know. Dave Aranda is kind of feeling the same way.
Do you feel like this is sort of a backs against the wall moment of the season?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, this last game was, it's going to come a time where we run out of these times. And so I think the 4th and 1, it's 4th and 1 today. Today it's 4th and 1, right? And so I think that's been a message. It would continue to be one. We got to get it through.
Silver lining here is they go for it on 4th down more than almost anybody. So I am confident that Dave Aranda and this group is going to go for it. And there is another fine line when it comes to college football in 2025 that I'm about to talk about. First, the first side of the line is this Baylor team has got serious heart. And maybe it's just me, but that's what makes this more frustrating when they continue to lose and prove a lot of doubters right, is that I really like the makeup of this team. I like the attitude of this team. I just don't like the way that they're not ready to play and that they don't have good game plans. But the way they fight back in these games, the way they never count themselves out, I like that. I really do. But the other side of that very fine line is these guys all play college football because they want to win. Most of them were winning in high school. And now, more than ever, it is very easy to just go to the next place when you're not winning. Midway through last year when Baylor was 2-4, that was about to be a mass exodus from this program. There was going to be a lot of players transferring. And who could blame them? And I have no intel on these guys I'm about to talk about, so don't take this as reporting. But I'm saying if you last year were Sawyer Robertson or Josh Cameron or Michael Trigg or Bryson Washington or Keaton Thomas, Caden Jenkins, why wouldn't you have looked somewhere else? If it bottomed out and you went 4-8 last year after starting 2-4, who wouldn't have looked somewhere else? There, but for the grace of God, go all of us. And they stick around because they go 6-0 to end the season, and they talk about it right at the end of the bowl game that there's unfinished business for this year. And they know they're bringing so much back, more than almost anybody in the conference. And they think this is the team to do it. And they're not doing it. And we hear the frustration. I've heard it, man. And so who's to say the talent that is coming back next year, which isn't a lot compared to this year, the talent that will come back next year, who's to say they're not like, you know what? I'm sick of this. We got to get out of here somewhere. So this isn't just Baylor's not winning the Big 12. It would take a miracle for them to win 10 games. They need to go 7-0 or 6-0, win the bowl game to win 10 games. They're not competing for the college football playoff. They're not competing for individual awards or anything. There's really not a lot to play for in the rest of this season. But from the Dave Aranda standpoint and this program standpoint, they're probably playing for their coach's job, their coaching staff's jobs, and they are playing for the rest of their roster and the next 2 recruiting classes, which are shaping up to be very good. That's what they're playing for. That's why it's 4th and 1 the rest of the way. Because as we have seen this year, when the expectations are what the expectations are, another loss could really, really sink morale even further. And it changes a lot when it comes to who's going to be here next year, who wants to come here in the transfer portal, who wants to come here out of high school. It changes a lot. So, yeah, their backs are against the wall here. They've got to be perfect to make this season really worth something. And for a lot of their guys, a lot of their good players, it's their last college season. They are up against it right now. The way we've watched this team, I think they could just as easily go 5-0 as they can be 0-5. 2-3 gets you into a bowl game. But right now, like you look at this next week, Cincinnati, we'll hear from Dave Aranda tomorrow about this. They're not as good as Cincinnati. UCF, they should be better than Cincinnati, or UCF, excuse me. They should be better than UCF. Better than Utah? Nope. Better than Houston? Not right now, they're not. Nope. So you're going into these games as underdogs for most of the rest of the season. They're already 4-point underdogs against Cincinnati. So yeah, it's up against it right now. The whole season is, and the short-term future of this program is probably up against the wall, 4th and 1 right now. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Then be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. It's the #1 Baylor football show on YouTube. And whether they're good, bad, or not playing at all, we will be talking about them right here on this program. So thank you for making it your first listen today and every day. Really, really appreciate you guys. Loving the feedback, both agreeing and disagreeing. Loving the feedback the last couple of days. Keep it coming with your theories as to what's wrong with this program or if there's anything wrong at all. Let me know in that comment section. Tweet at us at Locked On Baylor, and we'll see you tomorrow on another edition of your favorite show, Locked On Baylor.